Welcome to Life Esteem, a program committed to deliver information that's important to you and your community. Your hosts are Nathaniel and Patricia Gadsden.
Hello and welcome again to Life Esteem. Always great to have you as a viewer. Today we're going to talk with Pastor Joseph Green. If you don't know him, he's an author, the pastor of Antioch Assembly, and just does a lot of great things in our community. We're just glad to have you here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here.
All right.
With you guys.
Yeah. You have written some outstanding books, one sort of a memoir about your life and other things, but you've really established yourself as a real presence in this area, and so we want to thank you for coming on and sharing sharing some words of wisdom with us, if you will.
Yeah.
But tell us what's going on with Antioch, and also then we'll go to your books.
Well, Antioch Assembly is the church that I pastor, and it's in Harrisburg. It's a community church. You know, there's some things that we're doing. We have a mentoring program, as you're aware of, the Josiah Project, where we're really working with young men in the area. And it's about families. You know, we're really a family church, and we're trying to get back to the foundation of the family, which is critical for our community. Written books, and everything I write is from the heart, you know, and it's to try to benefit other people. You know, some of the topics that I attack are not always the most popular, but I think that they're necessary, you know, and so that's just my heart. My heart is for the community. My heart is for Harrisburg, but more importantly, as being a pastor, the lives of the people that we are able to touch.
Yeah, very good, very good.
Well, you know, you've been in the community for a number of years,
Yeah.
and have held a number of different roles and hats.
Yeah.
And I think when I initially met you, you were doing something in broadcasting.
Yes.
Okay, talk about that. Okay.
Well, at one point I owned 3 radio stations in the area locally,
Okay.
and you know, it was a season that I was in. I'm no longer affiliated on the ownership side of radio. It was a great season, if you will. I was very honored and privileged to be one of the first people of color in the area to own a radio station.
Sure.
And of course, as you guys know, you guys were associated with it. It was a community radio station
Exactly.
that's trying to benefit the community. But that season is kind of, you know, I moved past that, and now it's more so a pastor, which is one of the hardest jobs probably, you know, other than being just a regular parent. Pastor is very difficult because you're responsible for the lives of the people that you're a part of, and more importantly, because you do it because you love them and you want to see them have a successful life and as well. So, but yeah, radio was it's still very near and dear to my heart, and you know, I reflect on it and talked a little bit about that in my journey in the book.
Yeah.
But we need to do something about radio here in Harrisburg.
Yeah, I agree. We need another community radio
Radio
station.
station.
Yeah, so I'm open. I talked to Reverend Gadsden that you know, we're looking at some opportunities, and you know, maybe able to do it once again. You
That
know?
would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's talk about these books. They're fantastic. Standing on the Rock. Let's start with that one.
Standing on the Rock is the first book I wrote, as you know, was From Kilos to the Kingdom, and that was my personal journey of going from, I say I went from being religious to being in a relationship with God. And it was a very, it was a long journey. It was very trying, but I knew that the reason I went through that was to share it with other people, to help other people through their journey. You know, some of the failures we all experience in life, some of the mistakes that we made. And so the person who helped me publish the first book, he told me, we re-edited the first part and updated some things. There was some things that I brought full circle. And then I also used that as a platform to kind of talk about some things in regards to race, religion, and politics. And of course, you know, those are very touchy subjects. And like I said, I don't always take the most popular road, but I do take the road that I believe in my heart is the right one. I'm sincere in what I do.
Sure.
You know, I don't say that I'm always right, because nobody's always right. But I believe that it was important just to at least have that dialogue, because a lot of things we just kind of taken off the table and taken for granted. But it's important for us to address a lot of those issues. So, you know, I don't mind going out in the front and taking some hits if I feel it's for the greater good.
But you did some you revealed a lot of personal stuff, right?
Yeah, very personal.
Yeah, very personal.
Yeah.
So why did you think that was important? I mean, is it to help inspire others to, you know?
Very much to help inspire others. It's important to be transparent, because especially when you're talking with younger people, or when you're just talking to a person of any age that's going through certain struggles. Because of me coming through those struggles and having, and when I say success, you know, I've come through those struggles and I no longer deal with those struggles. And we all have those type of struggles, but when you're helping to minister to someone else or helping to kind of counsel them, a lot of times the first thought that people have is, you don't understand what I'm going through.
Right.
You know, whether it be drugs or whether it be a broken marriage or whatever the case may be, a lot of us feel like when we're in the middle of those situations that, hey, it's easy for you to say, you don't know what I'm going through.
That's right.
But when you begin to share that you've had similar struggles and then you begin to relate your story, it takes down the barriers, and people then at that point in time, they share. I've had people come up to me who have read the book and they've shared some deep personal things that I said, well, thanks for sharing. You know, I'm always open to it, but it's just amazing what has happened once I became more transparent and help with the dialogue with others.
Absolutely. You know, I need to mention also, and this is way off the subject, but when City Councilwoman Eugenia Smith suddenly died, and we were also saddened by that, and you were the one who brought her eulogy.
Yes.
There at the forum.
Yeah.
And everyone
yeah.
still talks about how powerful your eulogy was. So I just want to thank you on behalf of the community for really capturing the spirit of her. You know.
Yeah, I
so
appreciate that.
Very good. So, and then the other book, The Power of the Original Church.
Yes, yes. With that book, I kind of deal with some biblical issues, some foundational things of the Bible. One of the things, like I said, when I transitioned from being kind of religious to relationship, it was because I understood some of the rules. I grew up in the Baptist church. I understood the rules of being in church.
Okay.
But I don't think I really understood the purpose behind a lot of those things.
Yeah.
I don't think, and I'm going to blame myself. I'm not saying that my pastor or whoever didn't, didn't relay that to me, but I'm just going to say that's what I got. So when I came back, and I call it, and I know for a lot of theologians out there, they struggle with, I say I got resaved. The prodigal son story, many people understand. When I came back in, I just had this hunger to kind of know a little bit more about the Word, and I began to study the Word and see how it's supposed to apply to my life. And as we even talked before off camera, that a lot of the basic moral principles and foundational things that the Bible was supposed to teach us, we haven't really or I hadn't really delved into the purpose behind them, because God desires a relationship with us. So, that's what I discuss in the book, just some of the historical and foundational things about the Bible. And, because I had to use that as my foundation for me to reestablish my life. So.
Okay, yeah.
One of the things you said earlier, Joe, is that is really allowing people to be transparent, to know you have been there, okay?
Yes, yes.
You respect and appreciate the struggle.
Yes.
And sometimes that's difficult. You see folks that get into different opportunities and they don't want to have that disclosed or come out. But I think I agree with you that people want to see you as human, that you yourself can appreciate and respect where they are with that. What do you notice and see in regard to just that as a pastor in your church? How has that assisted you and allowed your congregation to grow and really respect and appreciate your beginnings, okay?
Well, it has helped me tremendously, because a lot of people have come to our church and become a part of the ministry, or even just come to visit us because they read the book and they said, I really can relate to what you went through, and I appreciate the fact that you were transparent. And like I said, I'm a more completed work, because I won't be completed until at the very end, but a more completed work, and people will look at that and say, oh, that's easy for you to say, look, you got it all together. But when we understand the journey, we understand, and I give keys in how I was able to kind of get it together. It's important, because it gives a person the way out. So it's helped a lot of people. I've even had a lot of stories. I got an email a couple of weeks ago of a young lady who's not even a member of our church, but she purchased From Kilos to the Kingdom and sent it to, gave it to her son, who was at the time headed for, he was either incarcerated or about to. And she said because of him reading the book, she believed that it inspired him, and now he's in management working for the job that he's at. She said she felt that was instrumental. And I've gotten a lot of people from prison writing me letters saying, I thought I was the only one going through these struggles, and I thank you for the book, because it now helps me to have the understanding and the hope that I can do better. I can change my direction. Where I'm at now doesn't have to be my final destination. Is just a stop along the journey.
Absolutely, that's wonderful.
One of the things I know that's near and dear to your heart also is race relations and bringing people together.
Yes.
And so to that end, I know that on, I'll let you tell us about this on August the 16th.
Oh, sure.
That's coming up.
Yep. August the 16th is it's called Unite to Restore America. I don't know if that's showing up in the camera or not. But if you go on my Facebook page and also our website, our church website, we will have more information about that. But what it is, it's basically people coming together, people of faith coming together in the Giant Center, August the 16th. It's an all-day event, and we're just basically trying to return to some of our foundational principles of what the nation, the original intent was.
Okay.
You know, we talked about some of the moral decline of our community, and this is not an event to tell people what they're doing wrong or point the finger at anybody.
Okay.
It's for us to restore some of the principles that we feel are vital for the success of this nation and our communities. You know, family is vitally important. You know, the breakdown of the family structure has had hugely devastating effects, especially in the African American community.
Sure.
And so those are the type of principles that we want to reinstill and just to stand on. So it's called Unite to Restore America, One Nation Under God. And it's open to the public. You can go. We ask people to go and register because we're expecting 9,000 people in the Giant Center.
Wow.
And I'm hoping it has to go across denominational lines. It has to go across racial lines. Has to go across cultural lines in order for this to be successful. Because, you know, I tell people we all are going to deal with each other's issues one way or another. So I can deal with it on the front end in friendship and unity, or I can wait until, you know, on the back end when we all have negative consequences when that happens.
That's right. 9,000 people.
Yeah, that's the goal. At least 9,000.
That's
so,
great.
yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
And that's on again on August 16th.
August the 16th. It starts at 10 a.m. and it's an all-day event. We ask people to come and stay as long as they can. And there's going to be some time of worship. There's some time of prayer and some great messages that will be spoken.
Excellent. Excellent. Will you be speaking yourself?
Yes, I'm one of the presenters. Actually, one of the MCs.
Okay.
And I'm going to be interjecting from time to time. You know, most people know that that's what I do. You know, I can't help myself. So, but I'm privileged to be a part of it because, like I said, I know we have our issues, and you know, I'm very open and honest about the racism and some of the issues that have happened in this country.
Yeah.
But I still believe America is the greatest country in the world.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
I do too.
The best opportunity we have on this side of heaven.
That's right.
You know?
Amen.
Yeah, right.
Amen. No question about that.
Yes, those
Yeah, and that's
definitely.
the thing we can never forget about. You know, we can talk about the issues and the problems, but we have to remember, you know, we're also blessed.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Very
Yeah,
blessed to live in this country.
Well, you
So-
know, I want to make a comment. You talked about the mentoring program you're doing
Yes.
with young men. Talk about what that is and what you're trying to move forward with that.
Yeah, I'd love to. It's called the Josiah Project, and it's taken from the biblical historical King Josiah, who he became king at 8 years old in Israel, and he reigned for approximately 40 years. So when he was 25 years old, he recognized that Israel had turned away from some of the foundational principles that had made them a great nation. And so he helped to restore the people back to the foundational things that they had been missing. So the Josiah Project, we're raising up a generation of Josiahs. Young men who don't look at being a young person and saying, I can't do anything to change my community. We teach them to be leaders. And so not only do I learn, and you guys know that a lot of young people, some of them get in trouble, some of them learn how to avoid getting in trouble, but until you can change their mindset and their perception about right and wrong, they're just evading trouble, if you will.
Yeah.
So we want to take it past that to change their mindset that not only do they not do the things that are going to get them in trouble and that are detrimental to themselves and their community, but that they do the right thing because they know it's the right thing to do, and that they will change their environment. They will change their sphere of influence, their friends and their colleagues, their peers, that they will say, hey, no, that's not the right thing to do. Because, you know, like I do, a lot of times in a crowd, it only takes one person to say, no, that's not right. We shouldn't do that.
That's right.
And that could make all the difference in the world. So the Josiah Project, primarily 13 to 18-year-old males, most of them are either African American or Hispanic. but we're open to whoever. And we just love to, my passion is to help the community and help young men. And I realize the earlier we get them and the earlier we change their minds, the better it is for them.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you are dealing with young men who are now dealing with generations of haven't done it this way.
Yes.
And so they have this learned response to everything.
Right.
So it's a difficult but necessary step that you're taking with the Josiah Project.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason I brought it up too is that the thing that's really plaguing a lot of our communities is these young men that's black on black crime.
Yeah.
And even Hispanic as well. And getting these young men early is to have some more respect for themselves and others. And finding different peaceful ways of conflict resolution and how to work through differences. So more and more of this needs to really occur and happen and be involved in our communities.
It's crazy. And we were talking about to the show that it's become a part of culture, no matter what culture you come from.
Yes.
With the, some of the stuff you see on TV and hear on these radios, whatever, and young people are just getting the wrong messages. They're beginning to think that, someone stepped to you, step back to them. And taking a life doesn't become important anymore. And it's just like, we have a lot of work to do. So I appreciate all the work you're doing, because being transparent and talking about your past and then how you've now, ascended to a much greater platform and doing this kind of work shows others that it can be done.
Yes.
And that's the key, and that's the reason why we're so glad you came on. So what other things are going on? I know you're always involved in something, man, in the community.
I'm always involved in a lot of different things. I'm also part of, along with you, the Marriage Interfaith Council.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
And the reason I became a part of that, I was honored and privileged to be invited to that. But the reason I really wanted to is because at the end of the day, being a pastor or just being a person of faith, I know that without the influence of God, we don't really have a chance. I know a lot of people come up with different strategies, and when we recognize that that's part of God's desire for us is to be successful. There's a scripture in Joshua that says, if you meditate on my words day and night and not let it depart from my lips and do all that it says here, I will make your way prosperous and you will have good success in life. Not just for this generation, but the generations to come. And what you said that was so true is we're dealing with sometimes second and third generation of people that are broken. We all recognize that we're broken, and it's not about where we're at now, it's not about where we came from, but it's about getting back to to the right place, getting to a community that we can love each other. Because, like I do, racism comes from hurt. It comes from internal hurt, and it comes from me not feeling good about myself, so I need to find something in you that I can, be mad at, if you will. And it comes from both sides. Now, we in the African American community, a lot of us have internalized the racism, and we have reciprocated it. And it doesn't help anybody, because there's anger out there. There's so much anger. The young people you see, not only are they doing stuff that we all knew were wrong, but now they're posting it and bragging about it, on YouTube and Facebook and everything. So my heart's desire is just to continue to start the dialogue, to get things out, and to let us know that I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect. Where you're at, no matter how broken you are, there's a way that you can get fixed and get better. Not only for my generation, but more importantly for the generations to come. I say the internal pain and hurt that we have, the last thing I ever want to do is to repeat that for my children.
That's right.
And so it's about our children and the next generations and the generations that we're in as well.
Pat and I this year we're blessed enough to complete both the basic and then advanced training at Lancaster through the Lancaster's YWCA. They have an anti-racism training that they've been doing for years. And all persons who are going through Lancaster Theological Seminary have to go through this training. It's a 3-day weekend training, and then we did it advanced like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And you say to yourself, okay, but boy, when you get into that, it's intense. And they bring in some experts from around the country who really know how to bring it. And by the time you walk out of there, you have to be the changed person or just someone who just doesn't get it. So I would highly recommend anybody who really wants to do this work to look at the Lancaster YWCA's work in anti-racism. They've been doing it for a long time, and they're great,
Well, even locally here, we want to also tout the efforts that's going on at our local YWCA at Greater Harrisburg. And they've started through their CRM Responders Network. They have a racial justice committee, and did their first round of what's called Let's Talk, a conversation on race.
Okay.
And they brought in leaders, initially to pilot this to see how we move forth in our community to continue this, these study circles as such, and really have some really, heart-wrenching dialogue and about things that we don't tend to really want to kind of talk about. But I'm just hoping that work will continue, and we have more folks like yourself that will reach out and be a part of these conversations. Because Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, and I just totally agree, that if you don't talk about it, you can't fix it.
Absolutely.
And you've got to have venues and forums where you can have these healthy, dialogues and really get to the surface, underneath the surface of what really is about this. So just like that thing you said, people that are dealing with racist intentions or attitudes or beliefs don't feel confident and comfortable with themselves. Right. That's the bottom line. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it is important. I like what you said, that we have to talk about it. If I went to the doctor and I said, "Doctor, I need you to help me," and he said, "What's wrong?" and I said, "Look, that's none of your business. Just help me," it wouldn't make sense.
I like that.
And that we do a lot of times. I've had friends in the past that were not African American, and they would say to me sometimes, "I don't even consider you black." And I said, "I know you're saying that as a compliment, but that's not a compliment. I want you to know that I am black and know that culturally there are some differences that we have.
That's right.
Being black isn't good or bad. It's it's a description of me. But to know that we have differences and maybe learn a little bit about my differences and I learn about yours. And I might not adapt all of your differences culturally, but we all learn how we can live together on this planet. Because, that's what it's all about. But we definitely have to have the dialogue and recognize that it's there.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, also I know that education is near and dear to your heart, and you've been, involved in a lot of different ways. We have so many issues in our community right now. Dealing with, getting kids to go to school, and then the way they act in school, and all that kind of good stuff. So what are some of the things you're working on, and what are you concerned about in terms of where we are right now?
One of the focuses on the Josiah Project is we get involved with the families and the teachers. So, and I've been invited to school a couple times with the principals of the schools of our young men to go to have that dialogue. And we tell them that it's just as important for you not to get in trouble is to get educated. Those are important issues. So we focus on that. We have tutoring. One of or two of our mentors are retired school teachers. So they tutor when they have issues. We're working with, had a dialogue with Downey School and some of the other schools in the area. They have one called the Leader in Me program, which is an excellent program. We also teach, which a lot of programs are teaching now, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But what I found ultimately when it all comes back to the family is because from an educational standpoint, a lot of these young men, because they are not confident in themselves and because they have so much hurt and they feel neglected, a lot of times they don't have father around and they feel neglected. So when they get to a place in school, which we all have, that I don't understand the material or I'm not catching it, or it's hard for me to concentrate because I have so much turmoil in my household, how am I able to manage those things? And I tell them, you have to have enough self-confidence to ask a question. A lot of times that's all it takes. I know growing up sometimes it's not popular to raise your hand and ask a question because people might think I'm stupid. But then we try to give them the self-assurance that you're not stupid by asking a question. It is, and I never call anyone stupid, but it is stupid for you to have access to learn something and have the resources to do it and to not do it.
Well, on the flip side, though, and this has been sadly true in our community for a while, and that is that kids who raise their hand, ask the question, get good grades, oh, you're trying to act white.
Absolutely.
And then they get put down, and then what are you trying to do? So those kids would get bullied. It's like, come on, no. Dumbing yourself down is not the thing to do.
One of the things that I've always taken with me, my pop-pop, who I talk about in the book, he was raised in Georgia, couldn't hardly read and write because he grew up on a farm, but he always pushed education with me. And when I would go out and come back and speak slang, he would be so upset. He says, listen, I'm working 3 jobs to make sure that you're taken care of. And he says, I'm not working this hard for you to go out and act like you're not educated. I want you to be educated. And I wasn't allowed to come in as a young man and speak slang. When I ask a question a lot of times, I say, what does this mean? People in my family say, look it up. They made me go get a dictionary and look it up for myself. But we've lost that to a certain extent.
Yeah.
We don't have those people that are saying that enough, I think. So education is key. Education, along with the context of the culture and changing that around is vital, because like you said, a lot of people, I don't want to be different, I don't want to get bullied.
Yeah.
And I tell them all the time, what do you mean I'm speaking like I'm white? Because I'm speaking proper grammar.
What is
you
that?
know,
Yeah,
or
you know.
grammatically correct or whatever.
Our
you know.
ancestors spoke,
Very much
very
so,
well,
yeah.
and they were, pushing for the excellence.
Yes.
The other thing I know that you've done, because I've known you for a while, both of us have, and used to be neighbors, in fact.
Yeah, right across the street.
You've traveled. You've traveled
Yes,
around. We just had on a wonderful young lady, Ashley
Company.
from Jelani Girls, and she's traveling all over the place, taking, exposing kids. How has travel been important to you in your ministry and development?
It's been vitally important. I've been to India a couple of times. I've been to several other countries. One of the things that I want to do long term is to do some missionary some mission trips for young people. When I went to India and in Africa and some of these third world countries, when you see the utter poverty in those places, the first thing is when you learn to help other people. I did a message last week, as a matter of fact, about how we're required to love our neighbors. And then I went to some of the University of Michigan studies and some of the others that say that people that do volunteer work to help other people live longer and healthier lives, which just confirms what the Bible says. But I think that once we can get our young people to see how blessed they really are in this country, and to begin to have a mindset to help other people, I think it changes the dynamic a lot. Because, when I grew up, the most expensive sneakers I had when I was in elementary school were $12 pair of Chuck Taylor Converse, and you got one pair, and then when they got older, they were your play sneakers, and then you got regular sneakers. Nowadays, these children are walking around with $200 sneakers on, and if they don't get the next pair of $200 sneakers, they feel as though, they're angry. And so it's just changing that mindset of, I just can't fathom a $250 pair of sneakers unless I was playing in the NBA. You know what I mean?
And the thing that always gets me is that wonderful brother that played for the Knicks, Stephon Marbury.
Yes, I remember.
Who exposed the fact that those sneakers cost about $5 to $7 to make.
Yes.
And then they sell them. Okay, so he decided to get that same sneaker, same materials, and sell them for $25. And the kids laughed at him. They said, I'm not buying
they wouldn't buy them.
He said, it's the same material as a $200 sneaker.
Yeah.
And I'm an NBA ball player. I'm trying to tell you, I'm rich.
Making millions of dollars.
And the kids made it a big joke. And now you can't even probably find those sneakers anywhere.
And it all comes back to self-worth.
Self-worth.
Because if I feel good about myself, then I don't have to have $200 sneakers that make me feel like I'm worthy.
And knowing full well your parents can't afford them.
Right,
all that kind of stuff. Come on, so it's just crazy. Well, you're doing a tremendous work, and we really appreciate it. And the book, Standing on the Rock, and also The Power of the Original Church, and also your other book.
From Kilos to the Kingdom.
Kilos to the Kingdom, just powerful books. And, Brother Joe here is the pastor of Antioch Assembly, and you guys are located at 646 Graham Street in Harrisburg.
Yep.
And that's right uptown there off of 6th
right
Street.
around, not far from here.
Not far from
here,
here, where we're
definitely,
taping from.
And if you go to the website, people who are interested in finding out about, but more importantly, ordering the books or any of the materials, there's links on there that they can order a copy.
And your website again is?
AntiochAssembly.com.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we want to thank Pastor Joe Green for coming on, author, tremendous community organizer, just doing a lot of great work. So we know it can be done. His message is powerful, supporting, and whatever you do, get out there and be blessed by being a blessing to somebody else today. Continue to watch this show as well. Pat and I love to bring you, Life Esteem, and we want to thank, WHP TV 21 for over the years having supported this program, supported our community in this way. We try to bring on people who are really about community, really about doing the right thing and building something good. And if it wasn't for Channel 21, WHP TV 21, this show wouldn't be possible. So we thank you, Channel 21. We thank you, the viewers, and we thank you for community. Again, have a great day. See you next time on Life Esteem.
Thank you.